Hello, everyone. Welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 388. Nice to see you again. Uh, Even though I've still been releasing videos and streaming most every weekend, so not like I went anywhere. But we're gonna cast some pods and talk about all of the unimportant stuff that I like to focus on because it makes me happy. So, first thing I want to talk about is for the Extra Life charity event, which was last November. You can see the weight set behind me, right here. I moved that out onto my porch, as I do every year, just to get it the hell out of the way. Um, During the Extra Life charity event, I popped into your recommends. Wonder why. I get a lot of stuff in my recommends, and I keep telling YouTube, "What makes you think I want to see this?" Well, hopefully you enjoy what you see. So this podcast is just me yakking about things that are on my mind, just random crap. Going to be talking about this weight thing behind me. Going to be talking about the Jurassic World cartoon. Going to be talking about menstrual products. And I'm going to be talking about Pikmin 4. So we've got a lot of variety on this week's show. But first, so I put the weights outside. And wouldn't you know it, it was only for the weekend. My sister, I put it out there, I think Thursday. My sister showed up on Friday. We did the stream Saturday and Sunday. Took my sister to the airport on Monday, and then brought the weight set back in. It rained. I think it rained during the stream. So some of my weights rusted. That doesn't take long. One rain, and it wasn't all of them, just the ones that happened. There's a apartment above mine, and they have a patio balcony. So most of my porch is covered, but some of my weights got wet, and they rusted. So I had to buy anti-rust spray and scrub the crap out of them. Well, no, for next time, just put a tarp over them or something, or keep them closer to the wall. So, a couple of years ago, a show on Netflix came out called Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous, and this is a CG cartoon based on the Jurassic Park franchise. It takes place concurrently with the Jurassic World films, and the premise is Jurassic World, which is a park that's been in operation for some years now, is opening a new feature for kids called Camp Cretaceous. And it's doing a pilot and invites a gaggle of about 6 kids, mostly nepotism. It's like the daughter of the people who own the company that provides the beef for the dinosaurs, the son of the guy who's an investor in the project, so on and so forth, a big media influencer, and one kid who won a contest, right? So these 6 kids are brought onto the island to try out the soon-to-open Camp Cretaceous, and shenanigans ensue, and they get lost on the island. Well, the events of the Jurassic World movie happen, and they get stuck on the island while the Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard movie happens. That sucker went for several seasons. I think it went for 5 seasons, and it takes place over the span of Jurassic World all the way to Fallen Kingdom. So they're lost for a long time. And what was funny is I did a debut review for the first episode of the first season, which is pretty obvious since it's called debut review. And I thought the show was one of the worst things I'd ever seen. I called it fascinatingly bad. Like, every single aspect of it made you cradle your head in your hands and ask why. What I I wish I could be the proverbial fly on the wall, so I could listen to the decisions that led to the discussions that led to these decisions. Um, but I kept watching. In fact, after I filmed that episode of Debut Review, I watched the second episode and then the third. And then stayed up until like 2:30 in the morning finishing out the first season, which is probably only like 6 or 7 episodes anyway. Um, and while the whole first season I maintain is fascinatingly bad, I still found it pretty compelling because the characters were likable and the situations were fun, even though the incidental moments made no damn sense, just from a logistics standpoint. Um, uh, as an example, and I think this one's in the review, uh, the kids are being menaced by a raptor, except the raptor is in a cage. But everything about the way the scene is shot, lit, directed, scored, camera angle, performances from the character, everything is telling you that this character is in imminent danger. But they're not, because they're on the other side of a fence. And there's nothing to indicate that the fence is broken, that's weak and the dinosaurs are going to be able to get through it. It's just mind-bogglingly odd. And yet, I kept watching this show. I watched the entire 5-season run of Camp Cretaceous, and I love it. I think it's great. It actually, the first season is fascinatingly bad, and there is a little bit of that stuff in the first parts of the second season, but they find their footing, and for me, it became a really fun adventure show. It's definitely for kids. Like, no one dies on, you don't see anyone get munched. People die, but it's more implied and happens off screen. It's a show for kids. It's disappointing for a bloodthirsty old cretin like me, but still enjoyed it. That show generated a spin-off called Chaos Theory, which is aired 2 seasons so far. And it follows the kids, spoilers, they get off the island, and it follows the kids 5 years later. And the inciting incident is one of them gets eaten by a dinosaur. Hey, Chaos. And I'm like, oh. I don't believe for a minute they're actually dead, but, I applaud you for that. I watched the 2 seasons, really enjoyed them. The second season was this October, I think. And what I wanted to mention is after I watched the season, about a week after it, I ran across a interview with, I don't know, the producers or one of the creatives on the show. And I read the interview, and the interviewer asked something along the lines of, tell me about the return of that character from the movies. How did you wrangle that, and what was the idea behind getting that character from the movies into the cartoon? And I was reading this interview going, what character? And I had just watched the show a week ago, and I'm like, what character from the movie was in the show? I was, because they say, well, as the villain. I'm like, I have no idea. And I had to look into it, and I do not know how to pronounce this woman's name, but if you've seen Jurassic World Dominion, the most recent Jurassic Park film, the woman who played Jai Ying in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. series, hey, Lyrically C, she plays one of the villains, Siona Santos, in Jurassic World Dominion. She's the lady who dresses in white and has that laser pointer clicker thing to direct the raptors. Her. I was like, oh yeah! Because, the cartoon uses this woman's likeness to good effect. It looks just like her, sounds just like her, because it's the same actor. But even though I had seen Jurassic World Dominion, like maybe 15 months earlier, I had completely forgotten this character. I had to actually I had to look up the whoever voiced the character. Or actually they told me that her name and I looked her up in IMDb. I'm like, I have no idea who this character is. And so I'm going through image search and I'm like, "Oh yeah, her oh yeah, cuz she does the same thing in the cartoon. She dresses in white, she looks and sounds like the actor cuz they use the actor's likeness and her voice. She has the dinosaur clicker thing. I complete. That's how unmemorable. That's how bad and unmemorable Jurassic World Dominion is. At least that's what I tell myself. I'm not old and forgetful. I just found that funny. I'd seen the movie like a year and change earlier, and just completely out of my head. I did not did wasn't even the vaguest inkling of she looks familiar. Even you'd think I would have remembered the dinosaur laser pointer clicker thing. No, nope, no. So boy, I felt kind of silly about that one. Uh, so there. So let's see. When was it? I guess this next story time frame is not very important. Sometime in the last month or so, I went shopping for stuff, and I pulled into the parking lot, and some lady flagged me down, and I stopped and rolled down the window, and yes, and she says, "Hey, do you have any spare cash on you?" And I said, "No, I'm sorry, I don't carry cash," and that's true. I don't. I I shop with plastic. That's just how I do. Like if I ever need to go to 7-Eleven to get milk or whatever, right? I'm paying with a credit card because I have no cash. Um, Lyrically C says that would be a great movie mandate theme. This person looks vaguely familiar. There you go. Don't I know that person from somewhere? Um, so she asked me for some spare cash, and I'm saying I'm sorry, I don't have any. And she says, "Oh, okay. Could you buy me some pads?" And because I'm a moron, my stupid brain immediately went to stationery. And I'm thinking, pads of paper? What? That's an odd thing to that's an odd thing to request. No one's ever asked me for stationery before. And I looked at her like a particularly confused dog, you know. And I said, "Huh?" Um making this poor embarrassed woman repeat herself, and she's like, you know, pads for she says, gesturing to her crotch. I'm like, "Oh, I am a moron. Yeah, absolutely. Of course." Oh man, I can't imagine how much nerve it took this woman to ask a complete stranger, and some random dude at that, uh to, out of the kindness of their hearts, buy her some menstrual products. That's because, you know, I live in America. We put stupid stigmas on everything, including that. And I imagine most women would probably, and rightfully so, because a lot of dudes would probably react really poorly to a question like that, because a lot of dudes suck. Yeah, she didn't need stationery. My brain is dumb. So I walked over to, or parked the car and walked over to Rite Aid or something and picked up a little travel pack of pads, um, because I didn't, I figured she didn't need like a box, because I doubt she has a conveyance, or I don't know if she has a conveyance. So it's probably something she's going to have to keep on her person. So I got a little travel pack of pads and found her in the parking lot again and flagged her down and handed them over. Hey, Lindy. Um, I lost my place. Where? So I go to Rite Aid, grab the pads, hand it to her, and she says, um, "Do you want me to pay you back?" I'm like, "No, no." And she's like, "Because while you were in there, some lady gave me $20." And I'm like, "Awesome, keep it." I have no idea if this woman was like, maybe she expected me to make change or something like that. I seriously doubt it. I think she was genuinely willing to part with $20 for the pads. Um, I'm like, no, no. Keep if you happen across someone who's going to give you $20, that's your $20. You take the $20 and your pads and have as nice a day as you possibly can. So that was kind of a heartwarming story, except for my stupid brain hearing pad and thinking stationary. Oh, that's embarrassing. And I feel really bad because I did put this poor woman on the spot and make her spell out to my dumbass exactly what she was asking. Oy. So, all right. Let's talk about Pikmin 4, which is a game I played over the holiday break and quite liked. Although I've noticed that as Pikmin has proceeded as a franchise, it gets progressively more and more. It has more user onboarding. If my memory serves, and often it doesn't, I remember the original Pikmin for the GameCube as Olimar crashes on on a planet. You're gonna die in 30 days, so you need to find your 30 ship parts. There's some Pikmin. Go get them. And you're off to the races with, I think, red Pikmin is what you start out with, and then you get yellow and blue, or blue then yellow. Um, it didn't, there wasn't a half an hour cutscene starting the game. There wasn't a needlessly convoluted and lengthy prologue. There wasn't reams of menus explaining the mechanics. It just dropped you there, said, here's the premise, here's your tool, go. And I was fine with it. Maybe Nintendo kept getting feedback that players were lost and didn't know what to do or how to play the game. Of course, let me verify something real quick. Pikmin. Instruction manual. Yeah. Well, it has an instruction manual, so if you don't know how to do something, it's in the instruction manual. Right? So it doesn't need to tutorialize because they used to actually put instruction manuals in this damn thing. Let's see. Here's Pikmin 3 or 2 rather. Yep. Instruction manual. Let's see what's in 3. Pikmin 3. Oh, Holy Biscuits and Gravy, an instruction manual with instructions on how to play the game. It's noticeably briefer, even more brief. So here's the first page, or set of pages. So page 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. 4 pages compared to the earlier games, which have, let me see, is it going into different languages? No, this is, minus the notes section. There's a little Q&A section in the back. 24 pages. Now let's exclude the opening pages and table of contents. So 18 pages. Now let's look at Pikmin 4, which is in my bedroom. Pikmin 4. Oh, that. Nothing! Absolutely nothing! No wonder these games get more and more tutorializy as they go. Because they stopped doing instruction manuals. Now, I imagine there's probably a digital instruction manual on the Switch. Lyrically, see, I love Pikmin 4. It feels a little bit Zelda when you're underground. Also surprised they used Unreal for the game. Maybe that's why it loads like a son of a gun. Oh my god, the loading in that game. Pikmin 4 is pretty great. I quite liked it. But I have a few critiques. Number one, and I have no idea if it's the fault of the engine or not, the game is slow in that every new area that you have a home base area. In the original games, you started each day. There were several different play areas, but if you didn't move to a new area, you just sat in the same place, and the next day you'd be in the same area. In Pikmin 4, there's a home area, and then you decide where to go, even if you keep going to the same place. Every time you end the day, it has to now loading into the home area, and then when you decide to go somewhere, it has to now loading into wherever you're going. And those loads are like 25 seconds. It's not terribly long, but the days in Pikmin are not that long either, so you're staring at this loading screen quite a bit. Oh, and I think there's a loading screen. Lyrically, Steve was talking about the underground bits, which I hated in Pikmin 2. In fact, I didn't finish Pikmin 2 because of the underground bits. I think they're randomly generated, and I think that might be one of the reasons why I didn't like them. Pikmin 4 has actually crafted, curated, level-designed dungeons to play, and they're great. Chaos says just long enough to be annoying. Right, just long enough to be annoying. They're not super long, but they're almost, I think they're less than 30 seconds. They're like 20 to 25 seconds, but they're frequent enough to be kind of aggravating. And that's compounded with the fact that the character dialogue boxes, whenever a character talks, and characters are always talking, the text scrolls pretty slow. You can hit the button to auto-advance the text, but it, like, takes a beat to do that. You know, it's like blah 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 blah, right? So you're like, okay, I don't need to listen to that. So clicky and then you're like, okay, now advance to the next dialogue box, and it's like blah 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 blah. It's like advancing all the dialogue box just takes it's like a quarter, maybe half a second, but it's that extra beat that's just, come on. There are, one of the fun things about the first game is there were a bunch of different items that you could collect, which were just random crap, like fruit or batteries or small thing. And Olimar's 3 inches taller or whatever, so he's like, oh, these giant things, what are they? And you'd collect them, and you'd get to read a small little paragraph from Olimar, and he'd misunderstand what it is, but he'd give it a name and a small description of what he thinks it is, and it was charming. Pikmin 4 does the same thing, but more voluminous. There are about 450 damned items or treasures to find in this game. And they are listed in an encyclopedia. So if you go to your home base, which you have to load into, and then talk to a guy, which you have to get through 2 or 3 dialogue boxes to load into the menu, then you can look at all 450 of your treasures and read the fun little captions. And there's one for all 450. Oh no, there's not one for all 450 because you need the perspective of Olimar, Louis, and the other lady whose name I don't remember. So all 450 treasures have 3 different perspectives to read, which is adorable, but oh my god, I don't have the time for that. Because if you leave that all to the end, it's like you're looking at this and you're like, this would take me an hour and a half to get through. I don't want to. And you think, but the reason why you don't do it through the game because you have to load into the main area and then you have to talk to the guy and menu and get through the dialogue boxes to get into the menu, and you just don't want to do that. And they start piling up, and then you realize, oh my god, there's 3 different perspectives on each one, and they're funny. They are well written, the ones I read, but oh my god, it's overwhelming. There's, I think, 125 enemies in the game. Same thing. There's a Piclopedia. You have to load into the main area. Then you have to go talk to a different person, get through their 2 or 3 dialogue boxes. And then you've got a menu of all 125 enemies. And you have perspectives from 3 different characters. It's a bit much. And I don't mind it. It's just a pain in the butt to actually get to. The game starts off, Pikmin 4, with what I feel is an unnecessary prologue. There's an opening sequence where you start in a house, an indoor environment. And I think that would have been better saved as a nice surprise for towards the end of the game. Because Pikmin has always been outside or sometimes underground, but I think it would have worked better if we land on the planet, we're here to rescue Olimar and a bunch of other people who crashed there. Let's get going. Instead, you load into a house, so you kind of get what would have, I think, been a really neat surprise later in the game. Gets spoiled for you immediately. And then the thing tutorializes you for like half an hour, giving you all kinds of setup and backstory, and then it stops, and then it switches to completely different characters who then need to tutorialize and backstory for, oh man, the opening of this game is rough. It takes a while and it drags. And I'm like, you don't need to do this. You could just go to planet, go get just drop me on the planet, give me the general Olimar and a bunch of other people have crashed on the planet. We're here to rescue them. Done. Do not need an hour prologue for Pikmin. That said, the world design, the puzzle design, the enemy design is all really good. The enemies are super adorable. The music's pretty great. I still think the game controls better on the GameCube. I never needed I know a lot of people were talking about Pikmin 3 and they really liked the pointer. No, Pikmin 4 has kind of a lock on which works quite well, but the original one, the targeting reticule was just, several feet in front of Olimar. It was at a fixed distance in front of him. So you just needed to face whatever you were looking at and throw your Pikmin. And the game fudged it a little bit. I never had a problem with it, but that allowed you to use the right stick to direct your Pikmin. So you could use the stick to, mass charge them at something or kind of manipulate them around objects if they were getting stuck. Pikmin 4 kind of has something like that. You get an item later where you can hold one of the trigger buttons to kind of move them around, but it's a little cumbersome and it doesn't work that well. Let's see, the intro is actually the demo before the game came out. Oh, I didn't even realize the game had a demo. It's, I mean, that works well for a demo, I think. I don't think it should be part of the game. I mean, maybe keep it in the menu as just a fun archive, kind of like putting a film's trailer on a DVD, right? I think the marketing stuff is interesting and should be preserved, and I kind of like to see how films were advertised. So I think, having the demo just be a menu option, that would be fine. But yeah, the game still, I am overly long intro, too much tutorializing, way too much dialogue, and too much loading into the main area and then the other areas, and also just there's a lot in this game. In addition to the things I discussed so far, the big added feature to Pikmin 4 is the Dandori missions, which are like timed challenges, which Pikmin kind of already is. You have a day, which is, I don't know, 15 minutes maybe, to efficiently explore and grab things with, divide and conquer with your Pikmin and bring stuff back to base. Oh, it also adds a Pikmin dog, which is cute. Although it doesn't have a nose, and that just kind of freaks me out. I mean, the Pikmin dog right there, he's adorable, but he has no nose, and that's unsettling to me. I don't know why. It's just it's why don't you have a nose? How do you smell when you're wet? So the Dandori things are, they plop you in a room and it's like, kill all of the enemies and they give you a starting amount of Pikmin. And so it's, a very curated puzzle. It's like, here's your Pikmin you start out with. You have 5 minutes or 7 minutes or 3 minutes, depends on the puzzle, to kill all the enemies and grab all the items and get them back to base. And then you have the Dandori like competitive challenges where it's like a vertical split screen 2-player mode, only the computer's playing the other character. And you're competing in the same area to try and get as much crap back to your onion while the other character gets as much crap back to their onion, and you can steal each other's stuff and send bombs into their base and things like that. I hate those mainly because I can't stand the vertical split screen thing. I can't see what's going on. Like it just uses up so much screen real estate that I'm like I get lost. I never liked local multiplayer. I don't like multiplayer, and I definitely didn't like split screen stuff, like back in the N64 days when our televisions were even smaller, like 19-inch square TVs, or well, 4x3. Oh, I have no idea how anyone was like playing GoldenEye on a 19-inch television, divided four. I don't know how you managed to do that. I it's like I can't see anything. I really did not like those challenges. The regular Dandori ones were okay, but I'm not much of a speed runner or time challenge kind of guy. In moderation, like if there's like a quick race in a larger game, like the little dragon cart bits in Like a Dragon, those are fine. But you get to the end of the game and there's like this entire 10 level challenge. I'm like, I just no, I don't want to. Also, I found some of the requirements a little bit unclear. We did what we had to do with the N64, says Lyrically See. Yeah. So yeah, I did beat this game. I saw all the content. I didn't do all of the Dandori challenges because I just really didn't want to, and I didn't read all the description. I did 100% the Piclopedia and the I 100%ed all the areas, all the got all the treasures, got all the enemies. I didn't read all the descriptions. Um, and I didn't do all of the Dandori competitive challenges because I just didn't like the vertical split screen. Um, and also it ran into the same problem. You gotta load into the base. You gotta go talk to a guy. You gotta thumb through the menu. You gotta load into the other thing, and it's like I don't want to. um, but the thing that actually bothered me most and actually made me pause the game and stand up and rant like an immature little child um, was there's an accessibility feature in Pikmin 4, as Nintendo and many others are wont to do, which, well, here's what happens. For the Dandori challenges, if you fail one, you don't do it fast enough, or the other guy skunks you, right? Um, One of the characters will say, "Hey, do you need some help? I can help you out with this." And for a while, it's like, when I failed a challenge, I was like, "Nah, whatever. I'll just try it again." And it only took me a couple of tries. Um, but one time I was like, "What help are you offering? Extra Pikmin or something? Do I get a little NPC guy that runs around and collects stuff for me?" So just out of curiosity, because the game doesn't tell you what this feature does, I said, "Yeah, sure. Help me out with this challenge." What it is do the entire thing for you. It's basically the I don't want to play this section, just do it for me button. Which is fine. I don't have a problem with that, but I was like, well, no, wait, I didn't mean do it for me. I was just curious to see what because I wasn't sure what the extra help would be. Again, extra Pikmin or an NPC character doing stuff. No, it doesn't even like show you how it's done, like a pre-recorded demo of pre-recorded gameplay where it shows this is how you would do that, now try it yourself kind of a thing. No, it just blacks out the screen and plays a couple of sound effects and goes, "There we go, I did it." It's like, well, that's not helping me, that's just doing it for me. A feature I don't mind and I'm glad is there, because I'm sure there's a bunch of people that's like, look, I can't stand time challenges. They stress me out. I physically can't do it. Whatever the case may be, I just want to skip it and get to the rest of the game. I have absolutely no problem with that type of accessibility feature. But is it too much to ask to clearly label it as such? To clearly communicate to the player what it does so we can make informed decisions on whether we want to engage with it or not? I don't think that's asking too much. Because I was like, no, don't do it for me because I'm a persnippety, immature gamer. And it's like, you're condescending to me. You're saying I can't do it. You're questioning my gamerhood or something, right? Um, I can do it. I don't need you to do it for me, right? Also, again, I like that the feature is here. The feature should be there. But one, tell me what it does. And two, stop pestering me about it. Because every time you fail, he's like, "Hey, Do you need me to do it for you? I know you can't do it, but I can do it for you. And now I'm starting to get insulted. I shouldn't. That's an immature reaction, but it really does piss me off. I had this problem all the way back when they started introducing this stuff in the games like Donkey Kong Country Returns. Um, Retro Studios, but Nintendo published, so I'm sure they had a say. Uh, the accessibility feature there is if you die, you can play as Super Kong, who can't die and can't fall in pits. Basically, Invincible Kong, which is cool. The problem I had with it is I don't remember if it's like every time you die or if you die 5 or 6 times and then it does it, but you get back to the checkpoint flag and it like plays a sound effect and does some type of animation. It's like, oh, here, you can't do it. You keep failing. Should we do it for you? Should we play the game for you? Oh, over here. Stop it. There has to be a line between letting the player know that this feature is available at any time for them to use in a way that they can always find it and not forget that it even exists, and not pestering and insulting a player who wants to do it themselves. Like, imagine if you're sitting on the couch with your sibling and you're playing a video game and you fall in a pit and your sibling goes, "Want me to do it for you?" And you're like, no, I got it. And you play it again and you fall in a pit. And your sibling goes, "Seriously, you want me to do it for you?" And it's like, "No, I'll do it." And then you fall in another pit or you get hit by a Goomba. It's like, "I could do it for you." Shut the fuck up! Right? At some point, you're going to be like, if I want your assistance, I will ask for it. I appreciate that you're here. I appreciate that you're offering your assistance. Duly noted. Now, until I ask you for it, shut the fuck up, because that's really aggravating and insulting. And it's hard for me to believe that, like, no one in testing ever has it. Maybe I'm just a pain in the ass. I might just be an immature pain in the ass. That's true, because this really aggravates me. Maybe that's just me, but for me, it's really hard to imagine that, like, no one else has this opinion. I know they do extensive playtesting. No one said, "Hey, could we tone that down, because it comes off as really condescending and insulting." And we don't want gamers, we don't want our customers, our players, the people who part with their hard-earned cash to buy our video games, to feel insulted or talked down to or condescended to. We're here to help. We have this feature. It's always here for you if you like it, but we're not going to rub your face in it like a bad little puppy who piddled on the rug. Right? Again, I'm probably just overly sensitive, but that stuff just irks me to no end. Hey, Lee. F in the chat for my local GameStop store says chaos. Sadly, it is now permanently closed. Well, it's a shame for the folks who work there. I've long had serious issues with GameStop as a company, but as with most businesses, it's corporate that I have a problem with, not necessarily the people who work there. The people who work in these places are almost uniformly really lovely people who care about gaming and games and stuff. And most of them that I spoke to, and I read some other anecdotal stuff back in the game politics days, most of the employees really hated that aggressive marketing crap that the management made them do. It's like, look, I don't want the pro thing. I don't want the this. I don't stop. I'm not here to buy used. I'm not here to trade anything. I just want to buy a video game. Also, stop gutting your goddamn games. Also, stop putting stickers with NASA grade adhesive, on the actual. I mean, they'd either put it like right on the plastic, or they'd, for some reason, like, they take out the paper insert and put the sticker right on the insert. And it's like, I cannot get your stupid sticker off without damaging the case or the paper. Now, I can buy a new case, But what am I supposed to do? Print out a new insert? Yeah, drove me nuts. Yar. Alas, poor GameStop. And again, I spoke with several people who worked at um, GameStop, and anecdotally, they hated that stuff too. But they didn't have a choice. And it only got worse with time. Yeah, yeah, it did. Sadly, because I like boutiques are fun. Small um stores that cater to a not necessarily niche but a specific um genre or form of entertainment, be it video games or tabletop gaming or figurines or larping or books or whatever. um that stuff's great, but yeah, yeah, GameStop. There was a lot to like about GameStop, and there was a lot to not like. Also, that whole trade-in thing was a scam. I remember back when I was a teenager, I called GameStop up as because I had heard this was slightly before the internet, or before the internet as we know it today. And I talked to the employee. I'm like, what's the trade-in values? Because I hear you guys keep hawking this stuff, and it's like a brand new thing. Like you buy a brand new video game for $50. What's the trade-in value? It's like $2. It's like, are you kidding? So someone buys a new game for $50, you buy it back for 2 and sell it for 45? Wow. Yikes. Let's see. I haven't worked for GameStop for over 12 years, but every move they've made lately has been bad, says Chaos. Oh, yeah. Lee says they do to an amiibo too. They put a sticker in front of the thing that says the box glows in the dark. If it weren't for the fact that I can see it online, I would have never known it glowed in the dark. Yeah, I mean, these things all come wrapped in cellophane. Put your sticker on the cellophane. Stop breaking the seal. Because if you break the seal, it ain't new anymore. I remember, what game was it? I think it was Xenoblade Chronicles way back in the day. The original for the Wii. Uh, no, no, no. It was Xenoblade Chronicles X for the Wii U. Um, I was trying to get that game, and I just couldn't find it anywhere. And it was finally found it at a GameStop very far north of me. Uh, for at and GameStop said it was new, and so my dad lived in the area, so I called him up and I said, "Hey, would you go to this GameStop and buy me I had them hold it for me. New copy of Xenoblade Chronicles X. It costs this much. Buy it for me. I'll pay you back." And he said, "Sure." Luckily, he went, picked it up, took a picture of it, and sent me the picture. And I could tell instantly that was not a new game. Luckily, he took a picture of it in the store and sent it to me, and he was still there. And because I called him immediately, I said, "Return it right now." I'm like, "Are you in the store? Are you still in the store?" And he goes, "Yeah." "Return it right now. That is not a new copy. That is a used copy. That's an open game." And I got the manager on the phone, and I told him exactly why this was happening. I'm like, "You lied. That's a lie. If you open the game, it's no longer new. You don't do that. I understand that a new car has to be driven a little bit. It has to be driven around the lot to put it in different places. But, if my new car has 1,000 miles on it, it's not a new car. My new car better have less than like 50 miles on it. I understand it has to move around. You can't just pick them up and place them places. You do have to drive them. Surprise Toys R Us didn't have it because nobody was touching that game at the store. Xenoblade Chronicles X. Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, Toys R Us is out of business too. Thanks, venture capitalists destroy everything. Um, I mean, part of that's nostalgia. I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid, but Toys R Us was fun. It was a big toy store. I love toy even as an adult. I love Toys R Us. I mean, it was in the latter days. It was kind of kitschy, but it's still fun, right? It's just a store with nothing but toys. I still, if I ever find myself at like Walmart for some reason, I go by the toy aisle just to see what neat stuff is around. I like toys. Toys are fun. I liked Toys R Us. Unfortunately, people keep buying places, stripping them for parts, and selling them because they don't care about any of this stuff. Just gotta wring all the value out of it we can to enrich ourselves and then flush it down the toilet. But I do have Xenoblade Chronicles X and the courtesy of Brian, and I don't know if I'll play it because the definitive edition, I don't know if that's how they're calling it, but a new version for the Switch is coming out. And Xenoblade Chronicles X is a game that I'd long been surprised. It was one of the few Wii U games that didn't make it to the Switch. I'm like, that's a game that could really use just a bit more power, because cool game, but Xenoblade Chronicles X for the Wii U was just struggling. It's just, the draw distance was bad, the frame rate kept chugging. They had to remove collision on a lot of stuff. Most of the stuff in the city doesn't have collision. The load management is really bad. The level of detail management is pretty bad. It's like, this sucker is overtasking the Wii U. But the Switch is a little bit more powerful than the Wii U, so maybe it could run the game better. We'll see. That Toys R Us song was so catchy. Oh yeah. From bikes to trains to video games, it's the biggest toy store there is. I don't want to grow up, because maybe if I did, I wouldn't be a Toys R Us kid. I want to grow up, don't want to grow up. Yeah, back when I was a kid, commercial, I don't know, is TV still a thing? Are there commercials on it? Are there commercial jingles? Like, the only thing I ever see are like the ads, like on Hulu. I haven't heard a commercial jingle in years. I mean, even Blockbuster. Wow, what a difference! Blockbuster Video, right? I don't know. The commercials on Hulu suck. And it's the same commercial. I mean, Hulu's getting paid. I guess I'm not paying Hulu enough because there's still commercials. And Amazon Prime has ads occasionally now too. And it's like, how much do I have to pay you to just not have ads? Like I don't want ads inserted in the middle of my show. It breaks up the flow. Hey, Chicago. So, lyrically see, man, Toys R Us was the last place people would think about video games, and they have almost everything you need. What Toys R Us did, and for unlike GameStop, who gutted, it's like, well, loss prevention. It's like, well, lock them behind a counter or something. Like, geez. What Toys R Us did is, for the high value stuff like video games, they kept them in the back, behind the register, so to speak. All the stuff on the floor, they just had an empty box, and with a sales slip, a little piece of paper. So you just kind of grab a game voucher and say, I want to buy this. And they're like, great. And they'd go get it for you. They just put the number, if they had 15 copies, they just put 15 vouchers out on the floor behind their demo case. Maybe they gutted one just to create a demo case. I have no idea. Blockbuster Video, they just gutted all their... GameStop just gutted all their games. And half the time would like, lose the instruction manual. You know, it's like, oh, okay, let me, here's the case, let me go get the game. I'm like, yeah, where's the instruction manual and the rest of the inserts? I don't know. And you're charging new prices. Of course, the difference between new and used prices were, it's like, 49.99 new or 47.99 used. Uh, oh well. Sometimes they'd lose the case. Yeah, I'd seen that happen once where all they had they had the one case on the floor on the shelf, and they were looking for it. They like had the disc in an envelope, but they couldn't find the case. I'm like, well, then no, no. Oh man. So I originally, when I was writing down my topics for tonight, I had the trailers from the recent Game Awards, but that was a month ago, and I don't remember anymore. Nothing stands out. I'm sure it was again, half the game trailers were made me say something like, "Oh, that's nice. What's the game though?" As a former GameStop employee, the case was probably stolen. Chaos says, "Hey Caleb." Chaos says only one copy per new game was gutted. The instructions and cases weren't lost. Most often they were stolen. By whom? Why? To sell on eBay? Doesn't matter. That was just, in my very humble opinion, the wrong thing to do. It's also, to me, it's like a lack of respect for the merchandise, right? I mean, it's like I mean, imagine if they did that with anything else. Like I'm buying a vacuum cleaner, and it's like, oh, the box is empty. The vacuum cleaner is just behind the counter. Here you go. It's like, you got the rest of the attachments and the instruction manual and the warranty card. Oh, I don't know. Let me look. Leave it in the box. This wouldn't be a problem if you left it in the box. And if you're genuinely having a loss problem, I keep the stuff, do like Toys R Us did. Of course, they're out of business now, so. As for game trailers, what was my favorite from 2024? Uh, Favorite game trailer or just game from 2024? Stolen by customers. People will steal anything that isn't bolted to the floor. Others steal it to make their copy complete. they they bought a game, only got the disc, so they came back and they stole the case. Sounds like a self-perpetuating problem. Let me pull up my games I played in 2024. Oh, game trailer. Shit, I don't know. I remember some. There were some trailers that made me go, "Ooh, I want to play that." And hey, I think that's, if a trailer for a video game makes you go, "Ooh, I want to play that," I'd say that's a successful trailer. If a trailer makes you go, "Well, that's neat. What's the game though?" Right? Um, I'll give it credit for at least being neat. I enjoyed watching the trailer, but generally speaking, if I'm left not knowing what the hell the game is, I think you failed in your marketing. However, some trailers I recall from last year, the Doom: The Dark Ages, which we haven't seen hide nor hair of since its reveal, I think over the summer. And it was only like a 50-second. It was like slightly under a minute, but it looked rad. I mean, it helps that it's Doom and we all know what Doom is. But it was 50 seconds of almost entirely just gameplay. It's like, oh my gosh, just show a cool game being cool. And it's like, oh, this looks rad. You've got a Captain America shield with spikes on it that you throw at things, and has like a little chainsaw thing on it, and you've got a gun that grinds up skulls and shoot human skulls and shoots from bone fragments at things. It looks great. And the Doom guy has a fuzzy cape and can fly around on a pterodactyl. Looks great. You know, that's a great trailer. Shame we haven't seen any more since. Um, I really enjoyed the marketing. For, of course, I'm a mark for this, but uh, like a dragon pirate yakuza in Hawaii. Um, it just a fun concept. I don't think anyone saw that coming. Uh, Great excuse to reuse the Hawaii location. Yeah, Majima washes up on one of the Hawaiian islands and he has amnesia and decides to be a pirate. Okay, and you have a kitty. I'm not sold. You know, just looks like a lot of fun. What other trailers did we see? Uh, Trying to think of a trailer for like something that's not an existing franchise that spoke to me, and nothing really comes to mind. Let me look at my yep, come here. All right, let me look at what games did I play in 2024 that are not demos. Um, I'm one of the few people that just doesn't really care for Balatro. I, it just doesn't do it for me. I quite liked Bayonetta Origins, which was the Bayonetta spinoff. I thought that was a lot of fun. Um, oh, I played the demo for Dredge. That's another game that a lot of people really liked. I couldn't get through the demo. I just found it incredibly dull. I didn't like it at all, which is weird because it has that reinforced gameplay loop where you go catch fish so that you can trade it for money to get a bigger boat so you can go out there into deeper waters and get more fish. You know that's a great loop. And you when you pull fish out of the ocean, you have to organize them on your boat because there's finite space. So your boat is kind of like Leon's attaché case in Resident Evil 4. So you have to orient all the fish to fit it in your boat, and I liked that. But something about the and I like the fact that there's this real otherworldly something weird and horrible is going on. That all the people you talk to are just slightly off. You're starting to pull mutant fish out of the water, and no one seems really surprised. Like all of the individual elements are working for me, but as a whole, I just found it dreadfully dull to actually play to the point where I couldn't even make it all the way through the demo. Ah, what are you gonna do? I checked out the demo for Fantasian Neo Dimension, and it's very clearly a port of a game that was released on mobile. I love the fact that the locations in the game are like physical dioramas, but oh my god, they're so low res and ugly. And the combat system is has some really fun twists to it, but they really needed to redo how the menuing and stuff works because it's very, very clear that this was meant to be tappity tappity on a mobile device, and it just does not work well on a controller. So yeah, that one didn't do it for me either. Let's see. Enjoyed Pikmin 4. Enjoyed Prince of Persia Lost Crown. Oh, I played the Resident Evil 4 remake. That was fun. Oh, Shadow of the Colossus. I beat Shadow of the Colossus, and I don't think it's a good game. My opinion did not change. Although I did think the ending was kind of funny. Although part of the ending just didn't make any sense from a what am I as the player supposed to be doing at this point. And I'm trying to should I spoil the game's over 10 years old, it doesn't matter. So your guy turns into a monster, but the cutscene is kind of interactive and you're supposed to beat people, but you're facing the wrong way, and the game doesn't explain to you what the controls are, so you don't know how to move. And maybe that's intentional. It's like, oh, you're in a new body, so you don't know how to use it. And then you get like sucked into a doorway, and it feels like you're supposed to fight against it, but I don't think you can. So as a player, you end up going like, am I supposed to be able to fight against that, or is this kind of a in game, game mechanic as storytelling, you can't fight against this kind of a thing? It's just kind of unclear and unsatisfying. So Wander turns into a baby. The girl, whoever the hell she is, comes out of her death coma, picks up Wander baby, and the horse survives. The horse limps into the starting area, and it's like, oh, hey, as and the horse looks at the lady with baby Wander and goes, "Yeah, you have fun with that," and limps his. He goes, "I'm going home," and he just limps his way out the door. But the bridge has collapsed, and the horse is like, "FML, man," and just turns around and starts limping away. I'm like, I feel bad. The horse was the true hero of Shadow of the Colossus. I feel that horse put up with so much shit. Ended up with a twisted ankle and stuck in a dead land with a lady and a baby. Anime Momo, hello. They would buy a game on eBay, for example, and it would just be a loose disc. So they would buy a loose disc on eBay and then steal a case from GameStop. Jesus. Played a bunch of Legend of Heroes games, the Trails games, having fun with that. Played Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus. Like the first game, I don't think it's a very good first-person shooter, but the story and character and vibe and aesthetic and overall presentation is so damn good that I was compelled to play through the entire campaign. I think it would make a great movie. I don't think it's a very good first-person shooter though, which is a shame. It's a little loose. It's a little floaty. It's shooting the bad guys is the bad guys are a bit too bullet spongy. It actually kind of feels like a bit of the same problems that the first Uncharted game has. The gunplay is roundly unsatisfying. It's just not that fun. But I really like the premise and the storytelling and the characters and the acting and it has some of the most creative cutscene direction. It's clear that the people directing the cutscenes are like, we're gonna make art, and it's from a filmmaking perspective, it is something to behold. I don't think the game is very good though, which is interesting. Um, Lyrically, C agrees with Wolfenstein 2. I was looking forward to what's the one with his kids? Wolfenstein: The Lost Legacy. I forget what it's called, but apparently that one's just genuinely bad. Not like it's not a very good shooter, it's just genuinely bad, structurally obnoxious and bad. Apparently you're running through the same areas all the time, which is a shame because I imagine the story and the characters are a lot of fun, but yeah, if the gameplay's that much worse, I don't know if I could sit through it. Young Bloods, thank you, Lyrically See that. What's my opinion on Sonic 3? The movie? I don't have one. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen any of the films, so I don't know. They don't appeal to me, mainly because they don't look very good in the appeal to me sense. I'm sure they're fine for anyone who likes Sonic, and I'm not a person who likes Sonic. I've never liked Sonic. I think it's a strong character design, but I've like never liked any of the video games. So I was not attached to any of the cartoon shows. So I have like no even nostalgic fondness for Sonic. Like I recognize Sonic and I like Sonic just fine as a character and as a mascot and as a piece of character design, but the games don't interest me, and the shows don't interest me, and the movies don't interest me either. So I don't really have an opinion on them because I haven't seen them. Um, so yeah, that's wait, where's my how did that happen? Hang on. That goes right here. That goes right there. We go. That's better. Somehow my spreadsheet tabs got flipped around the wrong way. I think I need a new mouse. My mouse clicks are not working. Um, Sonic fans keep on bragging about it's going to do good and how much it's making when my boss is making more. Oh, Mufasa is making more. I don't care about Mufasa either. I mean, I appreciate that it's not another remake. Like, though again, I actually surprised myself that I've literally, and this was not a conscious choice, I have not seen any of the Disney live action remakes. And that wasn't like I refused to watch them, it's just none of them appealed to me and I never got around to seeing them. Most of them are films that it's like, if they were on streaming, and they're probably on Disney Plus, they're the kind of films that like to just kind of scrub through and spot check and just kind of see how they did certain things, aesthetically, and be like, oh, okay, but I've seen the movie, so I don't have any. To me, it's kind of like a video game remake. It's like, well, how different is it? Is it the same game just with a prettier coat of paint? Well, generally speaking, I'm not going to care. I mean, uh, but when you get into stuff like what Capcom's been doing with the Resident Evil remakes, they're not just remakes, they're reimaginings. They're very different games. And in that case, sure. But although I would like to see the Maleficent movies, I haven't seen those. Um, yeah, I do not. I've seen some stuff on social media about, haha, Sonic is doing good. Oh, Mufasa is doing it. It's like, who cares? Uh, from and all this from people who I would assume do not have like stock in either company, or like didn't work on either film, don't know, and isn't related to anyone who worked on either film. I never understood that kind of um tribalism. I get, it's like, haha, it's like, I mean, they both, I hope they both do well. They're movies. I hope movies are good. That's just a perspective that's never made any sense to me. Haha, my movie is made more money than your movie. Neither of the movies belong to either of us. What are you talking about? Why is this an important thing? I mean, as a friendly kind of a thing, as a friendly kind of a thing, my sports team beat your sports team. That's, friendly camaraderie, ribbing each other on stuff. That kind of stuff, perfectly fine. But if we're gonna like light things on fire over this, or like start harassing people or abusing them, then it's like, what on earth is going on here? Lee says, yeah, I don't understand that myself because I don't really care which one makes more. Yeah, I don't care how much money either movie makes because I'm literally not invested emotionally or financially in either. you know, I don't own stock in either company. I didn't work on either movie, so their performance doesn't mean anything to me. And I don't know anyone who worked on, I don't personally know anyone who worked on either project. So why would I care? I've never understood that. Again, if you're just treating it like a sports team competition kind of a thing, fine, as long as we're being adult about it. But yeah, I've seen some weird stuff. Ha ha ha! I am validated by Sonic doing really well. How? I mean, good for you, I guess. But yeah, I'm not really. I have no interest in the Sonic movies or Mufasa. But I'm not rooting against them. I hope they're great, and I hope the audiences that they appeal to really enjoy them, and I hope they get to make more. I genuinely don't see why anyone would have any perspective other than that. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So, all right, we're gonna call it. I need to eat dinner and play video games. It's very important. I'd also like to watch. I think I'm gonna try to watch the new Wallace and Gromit movie. Came out on Netflix today, yesterday, at some point. So I'd like to see that. And then tomorrow we're going to play some more Trails of Cold Steel. Um, I think the first Sunday in February we'll probably take a break from Cold Steel and play something else, or maybe not. I don't know. Monster Hunter's coming out at the end of February, and I don't want to play it on PC, so that means I'm gonna have to get a PS5. I don't want to play it on PC because I'm stubborn like that. And yeah, I've been putting it off as long as I can, right? Um, when the PS4 Pro came out, I'm like, well, I mean, I don't have a 4K television, so that's pointless for me, right? Would I play Titanfall 2? No. Well, I mean, I don't have it. It doesn't really interest me. Heard it was good though. Um, but the point I was making is I knew at some point I never got to the PS4 Pro and I never got the PS5 because every game that I wanted to play was also on the PS4. And there wasn't much point in getting a PS5 because I don't have 4K TV. So kind of pointless buying an expensive console if you can't experience the majesty of 4K and HDR and all that fun stuff, right? Uh, but I also know that we're getting to the point where some of the games that I really want to play are on current gen only, and that's Monster Hunter Wilds, Doom: The Dark Ages is another one, and there's a couple more that escape me. So, gonna have to get a PS5, gonna have to get a new TV, and I did. So I'll talk about that a little bit later. But that's it for me tonight. And oh, I need to record my what I spent my Patreon money on. Can you guess? So I'll see. I hope to see you tomorrow for the Sunday stream. Until then, eat veggies and brush your teeth before you go to bed. Take care and see you tomorrow. Bye bye.